Alright guys, so in this video I want to show you a real life use scenario of the Insta360 X4. I recently got the Insta360 X4 and honestly I'm totally new when it comes to 360 cameras. So I kind of wanted to show you guys what it's like for a total beginner and how it works. The reason why I wanted to show like a real life use scenario because it's easy to show like very ideal scenarios, but for someone like me I want to use the camera for behind the scenes of like shoots and creative stuff that I'm making. So it's not gonna always be ideal settings. Like right now I'm in Manhattan. It is extremely busy, one of the busiest places to be. It's actually very overcast today, so it's not gonna be the ideal scenario with the perfect conditions. With that being said, that is a lot of shoots that like beginners and maybe amateurs are gonna go into. It's not gonna always be perfect lighting conditions, and it's not gonna always be, I'm not gonna say I'm using it for like super actiony travel stuff, because right now I'm mostly doing client work. So I want to show you guys my experience in using it for capturing behind the scenes, how innovative it is, and if it's overall improving the quality of work and my workflow. I was really sold on the Insta360 X4 when I saw another photographer using it in his work. He basically had it on top of his camera. When he had it on top of his camera, I thought it gave like a really unique perspective because it showcased not only what he was seeing, but also actually showing him behind the camera. So I thought that was pretty cool, and it's something that okay. So yeah, I thought it was pretty cool, and I thought that's something that people could really like benefit from seeing like a really unique perspective. So today I'm going to be shooting a video for a client. It's a party video, and I'm going to have my Insta360 on top of my camera. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that turns out. It's also going to be showing how it performs in low light, and I'm also going to be shooting a travel style video in New York with my friend. So this is going to be a really interesting scenario as to how the Insta360 performs not only in low light settings but also in like outdoor travel settings. Give or take though, it probably is going to be dark outside, because I'm probably thinking by the time we get outside it's going to be 8 p.m. But you're going to get to see how it looks, and feel free to let me know what you think. Alright, so for any of you guys that picked up, this is a totally separate day from yesterday, and I didn't actually get to complete the whole New York travel video. It was raining a lot, and honestly there was just no time for us to do it. But I did get to use the Insta360 X4 yesterday on a shoot, and I have some opinions on it. Firstly, I'll go ahead and say that I like the fact that pretty much once you mount it on top of your camera, I'm mounting mine on top of my camera using a hot shoe mount from SmallRig. Once you mount it on top of your camera, you can pretty much click record and stop worrying about it. Because it's getting 360 degrees of coverage, you don't have to worry about framing options, you don't have to worry about like settings. I shoot everything on auto, and it gives you some really nice behind the scenes perspectives. I did have some like thoughts. One of the things that really bugged me is that I have a slight scratch on my, not on the lens directly, but on the lens cover. And I noticed it scratches pretty easily. If by any chance you're gonna rub against anything, or if you're gonna like maybe accidentally drop it, if you scratch the lens cover, it scratches pretty easy, and it's gonna be annoying in all of your videos. Luckily for me, I didn't scratch the direct lens, only the lens cover, so I'm gonna buy a replacement. But I won't lie, it was very annoying to kind of see that blur in all my shots, and especially if there's like gonna be light passing through, that's gonna be very annoying to deal with. But overall, I'd say it was a really good shooting experience. Haven't edited the videos yet, so I'm going to actually go inside, edit some of those, and see how that works out. But I really did like using it. I do feel like it's going to help me to start putting out content consistently. Now, if you're someone that does content creation generally, I do think a 360 camera is a really nice touch. I would usually use like a GoPro for action stuff. Like if I'm doing like high intensity stuff like go-karting or travel stuff, I really usually use my GoPro, and I do think you're gonna get better quality from a regular GoPro. I'm not talking about the 360 camera GoPro. I'm talking about like the regular GoPro Hero, like a Hero 12 or a Hero 11. I usually get very good quality footage outside of a GoPro, but in terms of the ability to shoot and not worry about framing, that's something that's going to be unique to this camera. What I'll say first off, it's going to be a very like unique use case scenario. Like if you're getting an Insta360, it's going to be for specific shots. I don't think it's going to be something that you're going to use all the time. I do think that people can tend to like overestimate what they're going to be using it for. If you're not traveling like all the time, then you're probably not going to be using it that much. Also, I haven't actually edited the clips yet, but I can definitely say the file sizes are crazy. The file sizes are absolutely crazy. I shot, and I think that's also because sometimes I'm shooting and I'm not remembering to turn it off. So you're getting some really huge file sizes. And then because I'm shooting in the 360 mode, I had to go in and reframe the clips and export those. I do think there's a plugin for Premiere Pro, so I'm going to try that out and see how that works. But basically, I have to shoot the raw 8K 360, then go in, keyframe, reframe everything else, and then export that for my timeline. So there's a little bit of a workflow process, but I guess it really depends on, you know, what your intentions are. If you're someone that, you know, does a lot of action stuff, lots of travel stuff, a lot of behind the scenes, I think this is going to be very beneficial. If you're just someone that wants a camera, this might not be the ideal camera for you. So like, don't go in there thinking, okay, I'm going to get a 360 camera, I'm going to automatically start shooting a bunch of 360 stuff. Honestly, you very much might not. Also, for me, yesterday I was shooting in low light, so I'm going to really get to see how the low light performance is. Again, just before you get one, just remember that it's not going to be like your quote unquote day-to-day camera. It's going to be ideal for those like unique shooting situations. If you are somewhere that does maybe a lot of like adventure stuff, action stuff, like, you know, motorcycle or skateboarding, or I don't know, any of those things that might require it, you might feel like it's going to be good for you. But overall, what I want to say is before you go ahead and get one, just remember that it's going to be very niche based. For me, again, someone that puts out content a lot for my business, I feel like I needed something where I could constantly get BTS without having to have a second person. So sometimes when I want to get behind the scenes shots, I usually have to have like a second camera person or like someone I just give a phone to. But with the Insta360, I'm able to get those kind of shots without having a BTS person. Or even if I do have a BTS person, I get like a second angle for that. So it's really going to be coming in clutch for me for that particular reason. I didn't get it to get the highest quality 360 footage. I just wanted to get a new perspective. Because I'm mostly going for short form content with it, which is going to be like Instagram and TikTok, I wasn't super concerned about having the best quality footage. What I will say is if you're trying to get high quality footage from a 360 camera, you're going to want to be in super bright sunlight. You're going to want to be in optimal lighting conditions, and you're going to want to dial in some of the settings yourself. But again, not what I was going for. I just wanted to be able to kind of tell some, you know, unique stories and just kind of have memories from certain shoots. So if I was to compare the Insta360 to a regular camera or a GoPro, I'd say it's never going to be a replacement for a regular camera. It's going to always have this level of distortion, and if you decide to crop in and don't use a full 360, then it's almost kind of pointless as far as I'm concerned. If you only have one option for a main camera, I wouldn't advise for you to go for a 360 camera. But if you have, you know, an additional camera, 360 cameras are going to give you that, you know, unique perspective. They're going to be for some really nice shots for short form social media content. I don't think they have a place yet in like full-fledged, you know, cinematic, you know, really fleshed out videos, because even though it's 8K quality, by the time you're cropping the footage, it doesn't look as nice. And then also it just has too much variables when it comes to like exposure and really getting in those optimal settings. So I don't think it's going to be a replacement for your regular camera. Comparing it to a GoPro, I've never actually used a GoPro 360 camera. I currently own a GoPro Hero 12, and I have to tell you the truth, that GoPro Hero 12 is giving you way more better quality at 5K. But to be totally transparent, two different styles. If you're going to compare it to a GoPro, you compare it to the GoPro 360 camera, which I've never used before. So, but if you're comparing it to a regular GoPro action camera, it really depends on what you're trying to get. Regular GoPro action camera is going to be great for those underwater stuff. It's going to be good for getting, you know, high quality cinematic scenes with optimal sunlight. So if you're looking for something, you know, more cinematic, I'd probably go with the GoPro Hero 12. But if you're just trying to get those unique angles, and if you do have a good amount of light, then the 360 camera is going to be very ideal. So all in all, I would just say if you're someone that's trying to get a lot of BTS content, then you're probably going to be perfect with an Insta360. I think that's where it's really going to shine. Those unique perspectives, those different angles, the fact that you can just leave it to record and not worry about anything except for file space. So yeah, time to go inside and get on my computer. All right, so I actually just finished wrapping up some of the edits on the Insta360 X4 videos, and I have a lot of thoughts. Now, I know going in, I emphasized a lot that you really need good sunlight, but I cannot stress it enough. If you don't have enough sunlight, then the clips are almost, I would say, unusable for anything that's going to be professional. Because I predominantly got this for BTF stuff, most of what I'm going to use it for is going to be for Instagram and short form content. So, you know, I did stress I'm not going for the highest of quality, but I am a little bit disappointed with the low light performance. Remember, all my settings were on auto, so I probably didn't optimize for the best settings. But basically, in darker areas, the footage is almost unusable, unless if you're just going for social media, which, you know, isn't like as heavy on quality. So definitely, you're going to want the best sunlight. So it's going to be best for like bright, outdoor, super sunny. Not going to be ideal for indoor settings where there isn't a lot of light. Some clips I liked better than others. I am aware that my lens cover may have affected the quality of the shots, but I put the lens cover on because I need to make sure that I don't scratch the actual lens, because once you scratch the actual lens, it's basically over. Am I like entirely disappointed? Probably not, because most likely I'll still be using the footage regardless, because to be fair, as long as persons can see what you're doing, they're not going to be like totally against the content, especially if I'm going to compare it to like my regular camera footage. So what I really want to do is just show kind of like, I guess, what I'm doing and then what is the end product. So I guess the footage being not the best is even going to be a bigger contrast when I show like my regular camera footage. But, you know, I would appreciate it doing a little better in no light, but hey, you know what you're getting. So how I feel about the editing process, I feel like the editing process can be a little bit cumbersome. I did download the plugin for Premiere and it does work, but it can feel like a lot of work. Give or take, it's a new workflow process, so I'm not going to be too hard. I think if I do it for a while, maybe I'll get used to it. But trust me, it can get a little bit annoying for you to have to individually edit a bunch of clips, keyframe them all, and, you know, add that to your workflow. So it is a very tricky additional step. I'm aware that there are modes that you can use where you can lock in your angle and your lock in, so you don't have to necessarily always re-export and, you know, edit all the keyframes, but then you're no longer getting the benefits of using a 360 camera. So just be prepared that it's going to extend your workflow by a decent amount, and it will take some time to get used to. And if you're running it directly in Premiere, it can get a little bit laggy. I have a MacBook M3 Max, and it was, you know, eating up a little bit of bandwidth. But all in all, I still like what I've received. Overall, just remember to make sure that you're getting it for exactly what you need it for. If you've never owned one before, I'd say borrow one and get a taste of it. But you're not necessarily going to get, you know, the best quality footage like you probably see a lot of the influencers get, because you won't have the optimal settings all the time. So it's best to kind of check what kind of stuff you're using it for. If you're always shooting outdoor bright sunny skies, then you're great. But if you're going to be using it indoors, you might be getting some very bad footage. All in all, I still like what I have. I think that I got it from my unique angle, my unique perspective. But if you have any opinions or if you have any questions about it, let me know. I'm going to do a follow-up video when I get more experience with it and I see how I can best get the best settings out of it. Also, if you enjoyed this video, the YouTube algorithm says you're going to enjoy this video right here.